Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, folks. It is Sunday morning, and that means we have the one, the only, and the legendary investor, Laura Morby, with us. How you doing, Laura?
Doing awesome.
Awesome. And we, just so everybody knows, she has her little one right within arm's reach, Corbin over there to the side. So if you hear somebody talking, that would be Corbin. Hi, Corbin. How are you?
Hello. She's getting real serious about her Band-Aid. So
All right. Very cool. Well, hey, Laura, something I want to do a little different today is I want to share with you something you likely haven't seen. I pulled together 40 years of housing information. So to set this up, these are national housing numbers,
Okay.
interest rate in the year. So I did 1980, 85, 90, 95, 2000, 05, 10, 15, and 20. So that's the 40 years, every 5 years. Average housing price nationally, interest rates, average income. I calculated payment, assuming 20% down. Then I did percent of income. I did all these things because I'm trying to figure out, is housing expensive historically?
Okay.
Right. Lots of people lots of other YouTubers are saying housing is expensive, but I'm a data guy, right? I want to see what's going on. And I've gotten a lot of good feedback. So I've actually added more information. So people are going to see some things for the first time in this video. You ready to take a look at a crazy Excel spreadsheet?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I love numbers too. So
Oh,
look at it.
all right. Well, here we go. So you haven't seen this yet. I just shared some of this yesterday and you're very busy.
We're coming closer.
So let's see. I'm going to actually collapse us so nobody can see us. We can just enjoy the spreadsheet together. So can you see this? Okay.
Okay, sure. Yes, I can see it perfectly.
Okay. So let's just set up 1980, which is column B. We'll do this one in detail, and then we'll kind of breeze through the next 40 years because I don't want to bore folks. So in 1980, Laura, I don't know, just for fun, how old were you in 1980? Like 2? Maybe not even born yet. I don't know.
I wasn't born for another 7 years.
Okay. So you were -7.
My dad says I was in Norway fishing, whatever that means. I don't know what that means.
Yeah, I don't want to know.
I was a fart in the wind, I guess.
I guess. Well, here you go. Just so you know, when you were -7, the average home price in the US was 55 grand. Again, nationally speaking. Something you may not know, but you probably have heard, is interest rates were much higher. The average 30-year rate in 1980 was 13.74%. Crazy to think about.
Like a credit card.
Yeah, exactly. So what I did here is I just did 20% down. I could have easily picked another number, but I had to base it on something. So I assumed 20% down. That'd be 11 grand. Make sense? Then I said, okay, if you're going to finance it, what would that be? That's simply 11 grand minus the purchase price. So nothing fancy there. Then I calculated a 30-year mortgage payment. And again, I assumed the finance amount of 44 grand and I used 13.74%. So the mortgage payment was basically $513. Then I went and looked up, what does the average family of 4 make? Again, you were -7. The average family of 4 made 21 grand, which is, that's just crazy to think about. So then what I did, because I needed to base it on monthly payment, is I simply divided 2120 by 12. So the gross income for the month was $1,751. Now we get some interesting calculations. So the payment of 512 or 513 divided by gross income equals basically you were spending 29% of your income, your gross income, on your mortgage payment. Does that make sense?
That is very high.
Yes, that is
That's
very
a lot for anything else. If tires go out on your car, you're probably in trouble.
Yeah, exactly. And again, this is gross income, not net, right? So taxes weren't taken out of this because I didn't know the tax rates in the 80s and all of that stuff. So again, that's kind of alarming. And then something I just added this morning, so nobody has seen this. You're the first one to see it because some people were pointing at this. I said, how much of the down payment is percent of your income, right? So 11 grand is 52% of the average family's income.
Right, which is high.
Yeah, which is interesting. And that is interesting. So I did a couple of things. So I just repeated that entire cycle. So we'll jump forward. So you were born in 87. Let's go to 1990, just for grins.
Mhm.
So now we have the median income or median home price at 97 grand. Interest rates have fallen to 10%, 20% down finance amount. The payment though now is up to 688.
Mhm.
Median income is now 30 grand, not 21.
Mhm.
Monthly gross, again, just simple math. Our payment though is still 27%. So it went down a little bit,
Yeah, not too much though.
not too much. And now the down payment, right, is now 64% of income,
Wow.
which is interesting, right? So it's taking you theoretically longer and longer.
Mhm.
So let's jump to 2010. Or actually, let's do 2005, pre-bubble.
Yes, pre-bubble. Let's do that.
So the home price now is up 100 grand from 1990, or almost 100 grand.
Mhm.
However, the interest rate is half, right? Half. It's
I
5
remember
point.
that interest rate well. I was selling HELOCs at that point.
I remember it well too. I was buying. I was a buyer.
Yeah.
So 20 down payments now up. It's now 38 grand.
Mhm.
So it's basically double 1990.
Yeah.
Your payment though is only up, I don't know, slightly. It's up what, 220 bucks from
Yeah,
1990. Not
Mhm.
bad. Gross in or family's income's now 58 grand. So it's up, it's almost doubled 1990 level, right? It's up 28,000 bucks. So now your payment, even though the housing price is up 140 grand from 1980, the payment is down.
It's way down.
It's
compared to
18%.
30%. Yeah.
Crazy, right?
And 1/3 of your income, it's down to a fifth or below a fifth.
Exactly. And the down payment as percent of income is up slightly from 1990. It's up to almost 66%.
Mhm.
All right. So now let's jump to 2020. This is what people, this is why I look at data, right? So let's scroll this over. So 2020 here, right here in this column.
Yeah.
Price in 2020 was 270.
Mhm.
Interest rate, however, now is sub 3%.
Mhm.
You're putting 54 grand down. Your payment's 900 bucks.
Great. Love it.
But now the payment is only 13% of your monthly gross.
Yes.
How crazy is that?
Much better.
Much better. And oh, by the way, the down payment is 68% of your take home or your gross income.
It's gone down a little bit. But
Got
it's
down a
still
little bit.
2005. Yeah.
Yeah. And then just because I live in the real world, I actually did July. So this month actually had some shocking tweaks. So first off, just in,
Okay.
a year, because I think this is a July number from 2020, the price is now 363 for the average home. Interest rates are down slightly. Your payment though now is 1168.
Mhm.
So now what we're seeing is we went from a low of 13 grand and 13% in 2020 up to 17%. So we've clearly hit an inflection point.
Mhm.
But now look at the down payment. It's now 90% of income.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
That's pretty bad. That took a noticeable jump this year.
Yeah.
So let me show you a couple of graphs. Nobody has seen these. You are the first to see these, just because I like some people like charts, some people like graphs. So payment of gross, you can see it went all the way down and clearly hit an inflection point in 2020.
Mhm.
Right, you can see that here. Median home prices, we saw a little drop, obviously 05 to 10. That's the Great Recession, obviously. And again, screaming higher.
Way higher. Yep.
Fixed interest rates. A lot of this story people don't realize is interest rate related. So if you want to know when housing slow down, you tell me when interest rates hit 6%, and we're going to look at that together in a minute. I did the work there as well. So interest rates down. Median income has been interesting, right? It's kind of ran up in 05, down, kind of picking up and now flattening. But now we have some comparisons where we can take multiple lines and throw them over time. I thought this one was pretty interesting. This first one on the left, median home price and median income. It's kind of gone up together.
Yeah. Parallel.
Right.
To each other.
Yeah, you got a little bit bigger gap here, but again, I think on a percentage basis, it's kind of the same.
Mhm.
Next, in the middle there, we have the fixed rate in blue with percent of gross, again, kind of trending lower. And then we see an uptick from 2020 to 21.
Mhm.
And then just the last one, oops, scrolled too far. This one is interesting, right? Percent of income and down payment. Percent of income kind of flat to down, but then we see a huge spike here recently, right? That's where the payment's now 90 some percent.
Yeah, it makes sense.
So we've seen a big tick up lately. So one more set of data and then we can get your thoughts on this. The big thing for me is what happens to real estate if interest rates go up, because hopefully what we've proven is a lot of this is interest rate related. So I took the existing data, which I just copied. So July of 21, same numbers you saw before, 363, 263. And I just assumed the only variable that changed was interest rate. So
Okay.
you see 4, 5, and 6%. And really what I'm trying to highlight is these here.
Mhm.
So what we see is if interest rates go to 4%, your payment is now 20% of income. So that puts us right in between these two periods. What is these? This is 2000 and 2005, right? Between 20 is between 22 and 18. So again, I would ask you, if you think housing is expensive at 4%, I would ask you, was housing expensive in 2003? Most people would probably say no.
Mhm.
What if interest rates go to 5%? Well, now you're at 23%. So that's more like, in between these periods,
Mhm.
between 1990 and 95. And then, oh my God, what happens if the 30-year, can you imagine the 30-year back at 6%? That would be crazy, but it could happen.
Yeah.
And again, we would be at 26%.
Yes.
So again, I would ask people, was housing expensive in 1990? And for most people, I think they would say no, right?
Yeah.
I mean, this is just what data can do for you. So anything jump out at you? I've been doing a lot of talking, trying to show you what I had here. Anything jump out at you?
I mean, the craziest thing is what's happening in 2021,
Yeah.
just in regards to down payment, which a percentage of your income, which is 90, which is the highest it's ever been.
Yeah. Noticeably higher, right? I mean, 20
then,
points higher. Yeah.
yeah, and then you think about all the people doing appraisal contingencies or
Woo.
things where they're offering money on top or offering to pay the seller's closing costs. So, I mean, a lot of these people are getting their down payment from the sale of the previous house, so they're not having to take a gift from a family member or something like that. So,
Mhm.
it's just interesting to see. But to be honest, even if interest rates go up to 6%, I'm not worried about it. I think there's going to be like a market shock, of
Yep.
course, where people, but historically, 6% is still low. So
Yeah.
I remember when I was selling HELOCs and they were around 6 to 8%, depending on your,
Mhm.
obviously it's a second on top of your first. So the interest rate can be a little bit higher depending on what you're doing and who you are.
Yeah.
And I remember, because that was my first entry into actually working within the real estate space,
Mhm.
we were selling on the idea that this is as good as it's ever been. And
Yeah.
people were very happy to get 6%.
Yeah. I agree with you.
Yeah. So this 2 to 3% thing is incredible, but that's such cheap money. It's
Yeah.
such cheap money. So it can't last forever. It's great that it's happening right now, and it's been happening for a while, but it's so cheap.
Yeah, when I played this what if game is what I call this 4, 5, and 6%. I actually didn't know what the data would be. I actually thought going in, if you would have asked me going into this at 6%, I was going to think this number here that says 26.1 would have read an all-time high. I would have like 6%, market's going to crash. It can't. So I expected this to be like 40% because the high we've ever seen was actually recorded in 85 at 29.43. I expected 6% to be above this number. And then I was like, okay, I was going to say at 6% 30-year, we're going to crash. But at 26%, yeah, it's higher than where we've been. It's double what 2020 was because that was only 13%. But historically speaking, 26% is not the highest we've seen in 40 years. It shocked me. And then the other thing I did, because some people, believe it or not, Laura, actually, it'll be interesting. Some people are calling for a 30-year mortgage at 1%. Can you believe that?
Oh my gosh, that is free money.
Oh, it's absolutely free money because I believe inflation's running at 4 or 5%. So it's actually negative money. Whatever happens at 1%, real estate goes through the roof. So what I did, because again, I'm a numbers guy, is I said, if mortgage rates at 3%, what happens if in real estate goes up 50% nationally? What happens to your payment? Because again, I expected it to blow up, and lo and behold, it doesn't blow up.
No, it doesn't.
Right. It's only 21% of your take home. And I assumed everything else stayed current. Right. I assumed income didn't go up. It probably would. But man, it's frightening to think about. All right. Because again, I actually built this. You can double it, right? What happens if real estate goes up 70%? Now it's 23.87%. I mean, at 1%, crazy things happen.
Yeah, crazy things happen, absolutely. And it is interesting too that there is, I mean, if anyone who's my age is watching this, who maybe haven't purchased a home, is there is a big narrative regarding, oh yeah, when our parents bought a house, it was, they had to put $700 down, and their payment was $200. Like, of course you guys bought a house, and now we can't because you ruined our housing market and you ruined our country, type of thing. And it is interesting to see, like when you take into account what people were actually making, what they were putting down, what the interest rates are. It's actually better to buy a house now, because like when our parents were buying a house in 1980, that was a third of their gross income was going mortgage, which is even harder for someone to budget to be able to purchase a home. So that's really, I mean, that's a beautiful thing to show people, to put that whole argument to bed, and that homeownership is possible. You can look at it in a positive way too. Like, no matter if you're looking at housing prices and thinking, oh my gosh, this is crazy, the interest rates being as low as they are make homeownership possible for everybody. It's actually not a terrible time to buy, and some people probably might kick their own butts if they didn't take advantage of any of these super low interest rates right now. So
yeah, so that was a great takeaway. I agree. When I build this data, I don't know what the answer is going to be. I go in with an open mind, right? Because I'm data agnostic. It's not going to change my opinion. I just want to, hey, I did not think 1980 was the most unaffordable time to buy a home. I did not think that. I was 8. You were -7. I was 8. I didn't know. I didn't, it was, and again, can you imagine making 21 grand a year as a family of 4?
oh my gosh, no. I mean, you have to think about, like, of course, how much things cost and whatnot. So hopefully food was cheap, and
Oh, it would have to be, right? It would have to.
But I mean, that is scary. And Pace and I talk sometimes, and he's like, honestly, if you're not making at least 100 grand right now, I don't know how you survive. And I'm like, that is so crazy, because when I was, growing up, I knew a lot of people whose parents had, a sole income of 60 grand, and they're fine.
Yeah.
And it's just crazy to hear that, but it makes sense when you see the numbers. It's
Very cool.
Yeah, it makes sense. And actually it's kind of hopeful. So even though people can talk and do crazy splashy headlines and stuff, buying a house is still totally on the table for so many people. And that down payment thing is a little bit scary. But again, people are getting their down payment in July 2021 from the sale of a house. So although it's 90% of their income, it's actually not, income that they've saved. I mean, partially probably, but it's proceeds from the sale, which they totally have. So
yeah. Well, I appreciate you going through that with me. That's the first time I've actually ever shared it with somebody else. So thank you for being my guinea pig.
I love looking at that. That's so cool that you did that. I love that.
Thank you. And hey, if somebody wants to buy a house in Arizona, wants to follow you on Instagram, which they should, how should they do that?
My phone number is 480-717-2070, or my Instagram is Laura Morby, no spaces.
And if you ever just want to smile, follow Laura on Instagram. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.